Hey guys, it's Justin back as promised. Wanted to give you one more low risk trade setup in the market, and this was from this morning. It's actually a trade that we called and I took myself personally. And just to set up the thesis for this trade, first thing I want to point out is we did our pre-market analysis. So this is something we do every morning before we trade the New York Open. When we were doing our pre-market analysis, this is what we noticed. The market sold off from the highs up here around 47.40. I believe that was right up in there. Sold off and came down to the lows that we made on yesterday's market. So this was on December 20th, back on Monday. So coming into Tuesday morning here, December 21st, where here we are on the winter solstice, we noticed we were pushing right into, almost to the tick, right into the 38% retracement of that leg down. On top of that, we also noticed, and you can see it highlighted in here, that we had a lot of support in the market here, right? There are a lot of buyers, a lot of demand in this part of the market, and every time we came down there, we found these really violent reactions upward. So coming back into the back end of it, this is also telling us this is a critical area that we need to get through if there's going to be any kind of bullish follow through in the morning. And so coming into this morning's market, Tuesday, December 21st, we were expecting there to be some type of pullback from that level, again being all this stuff being here, but we were essentially expecting a bounce at some point for a continuation higher to at least come up and test the previous daily high. The question was, how far back was the market going to pull before it found support and bounced out? We had our 89.50, we had our 45.71, and then we had a couple other levels down around 45.71, including that swing high there at 68 that we were kind of watching here for a potential bounce if the market was going to pull back here. So what ended up happening was, let's go down to our tick chart here, shorter time frames. The market did start to sell off coming into the open, and what we wanted to do here, I told everyone in the trade room, we have this little area right in here where we chopped around for a bit. So at the open, what we might want to do is be a little patient in here and see what they do. I mean, they could very well pull back right to our VWAP there from the top end with our KP and bounce out. But let's just see what happens. They could, that's a low risk trade right there. You can try it long, say right at the back end of the VWAP at 93, have your stop less than 2 points below that, expecting that bounce out, but that's not something we did. And then again, we were expecting, remember up here was that 38% retracement, and if you zoom back far enough, where the market had bounced out earlier, right? So we were expecting some type of pullback for an eventual bounce, and sure enough, this little choppy area that the market was in at the open eventually broke to the downside, and you can see we broke below VWAP, our 200 started coming down, and so that's right when I told everybody we did bounce right off our 2 prediction points, right in between them. So that was an expectation I told everybody could potentially bounce out, but since we're breaking lower, we might want to jump onto an aggressive short. And this is an example here of a very aggressive trade setup. And basically all we're doing here is noticing the break, noticing the momentum in the market, and then looking for an aggressive sell trigger to actually jump into the market. And here you can see we pushed all the way down here. Now we got one down here, right? But the key thing is we were waiting for this level at 89.50. This is our key, one of our key levels that we watch every single morning. And a lot of times we see the market come either right into it and fail, or come from the top end, come right into it and bounce out. In fact, right here, you can see they came right into the level. They broke it by less than a point, started to get some follow through, but couldn't even get through VWAP. So even if you tried this long and you saw the rejection right here, that would have been an indication that maybe you shouldn't be holding onto the trade much past there, right? So that would have been a little low risk trade that didn't work. And then here's the trade we called in the trade room when we came up and we got that second divergence right into the 89.50 level. And then it actually came up one more time. And this is that same pattern I actually talked about in the previous video, is pulling back, coming back to test the level, if not break it a little bit higher. And if the price pushes higher but the RVI is lower, we have our alert or our trigger. And sure enough, it came up, it tested the high to the tick, and we got the same high in price but a lower high in RVI, and from there, there's the failure. Now, the key thing here is not only was this our trigger to get in, but we had an idea of where we wanted to go, right? So trading is not only about finding your entries, it's also about where you expect the market to be going. And we talked about holding here at the 38% retracement up top here from the overnight high and pulling back potentially, what did we say, into that 71 area. And forgive me, I don't have the line on there. It should be on there. Right there at 71 was that 71 level, and then we have a KP here right at 72.50. So as in our pre-market session, we highlighted this right here, somewhere between 71 and 73.50 as our potential area for support. So getting short up here, we were expecting a push down here. Now, didn't work out, and I'm showing you an example of a trade that did get follow through, was a very low risk trade, but did not end up getting to our target until later. So I took some profit on the way down, taking, again, I typically go for just about 5 points myself personally. So I took my 5-point contract off, and then my next target was right into the back end of the KP. In fact, it was 73.75, and we came to that number not only from some previous support and resistance, but I think it was also this right here. So our regular trading hour high after the market opened here, the high of the day to the low of the day at that time, brought us right there to 73.25, 73.50. So that was my next target, a few ticks in front of that at 73.75. The reason I mention that is because it did come down, it came right into 80, and then came all the way back, so it took me out right at my entry, and then came down. And I want to go ahead and move this over, and I'm trying to be as quick as I can. Came right over, and look at where we bounced. We bounced right off the back end of our zone, or the top end of our zone, right off the KP, and from there we went ahead and launched out. So the level that we were waiting for and expecting to hold for our bullish case this morning held to pretty much to exactly where we expected, and is now up, pushing, what do you know, right through the previous daily high. And now we're holding the previous daily high and continuing to push. So everything that we talked about in our pre-market pretty much came out perfectly this morning, and so couldn't have worked out better for our little videos here. So just to finish it out here, I do want to reiterate that we are giving or at least Day Trade Like a Pro is offering a really great deal to be with us in our trade room here every morning in 2022. We do our pre-market analysis. Every week we have a coaching and trading meeting, so we spend an hour, hour and a half going over trades, going over strategy, going over pretty much anything trade related, anything that anyone wants to talk about. So you get an hour, hour and a half with me every day, every week. And then if you do sign up for the annual package, you'll also be included in any courses that I teach over the year of 2022. So I could trade 2 or 3 courses potentially. I now have 1 course scheduled for the first quarter, and you will be included in that. I think Day Trade Like a Pro will probably be charging somewhere around $9.97 or more for the course, so you'll get that included if you do sign up for the annual package. So hopefully I will see some of you there. As you can see, what we're doing here every single day is trying to follow a general process, having a codified way of entering and exiting trades, keeping our risk below 2 points in pretty much every market, and trying to teach you guys how to actually read this market. And then of course the other side of things, probably the most important thing, is controlling your emotions, being able to deal with drawdown and the whole psychological side of trading once you actually find a strategy that works for you. So hope to see you guys next year, and hope you have a great rest of the end of 2021. Take care.